Hello, it's Henna. Thanks for watching. Today I am sharing my perfume rotation for the month of September 2025. Honestly, I did not sample a lot this month because I got some new perfume bottles that I wanted to explore a little bit more. One of them that I'm going to mention was a blind buy, but it was very highly recommended, so it was a very safe blind buy. But because it was fairly new to me and something that I wasn't sampling previously, I just wore the heck out of it because I wanted to experience it for myself a little bit more. So let's get right into it. The perfume that I'm talking about first is Vermeil by BNMA. I have already posted a review video of this scent, and it's a fairly simple scent to describe because it is a reconstruction of an older perfume, and so it does lean very powdery and vintage. It's got violet, it's got a ton of iris. It is meant to replicate like a makeup powder kind of perfume, and it delivers. It's beautiful, it's still potent enough that you can smell it over a long period of time. It is very, very feminine. I love it. It really matches my aesthetic and the types of perfumes that I like to wear. So I wore this a lot. I like that it smells clean and powdery, and you can kind of, if you work in a place or you're surrounded by people that are a little bit extra sensitive to scent, you can kind of get away with wearing something like this because it does smell lipsticky and makeup-y, and it could be mistaken for something like a talcum powder or body powder or something like that, like a functional makeup powder. Someone might just think that it's your deodorant and you wear a nice fancy upscale kind of deodorant, but really it is this perfume that they're smelling. So if you like something like that that flies a little bit under the radar but still delivers luxury in terms of its aesthetic and overall scent profile, then this might be for you. I like wearing this when I want to feel very formal and put together. It is a little bit clean. No one's going to really know that they're smelling perfume when they smell this, but it is a really nice, pretty perfume to wear. When I want to feel pretty, or I feel pretty and I want my scent to match that, this is the perfume that I reach for. So I wore that a lot in the month of September. The next scent I'm talking about is new to me, but not a blind buy because I do have a tiny sample of it. I traded perfume samples with someone that was local to me earlier in the year. I want to say even before the summer. And he gave me a tiny sample of Chypre Mousse by Orizia Legrand. It was not on my radar to try, and that seems to be how I'm finding some of my latest favorite perfumes. They're not really scents that I'm searching for, but definitely ones that I smell blindly and kind of blow me away. He had told me that this is kind of an earthy petrichor kind of perfume, and I was really into that at the moment. And this is completely different from anything I have smelled before. So that is why it really wowed me. I held on to my sample. I wore it just a little bit. I had told him, if you ever end up selling your bottle, let me know because I would really be interested in getting it. And I did, in fact, add the bottle to my collection. We had a little perfume club meeting earlier this year, and he was decluttering this, and of course I snapped it up right away. It actually wowed a lot of people that smelled it at Perfume Club because there is something very captivating about this scent. It, encapsulates this feeling for me of walking into a forest. So when you walk into a forest, you have the shadiness from the trees that takes away the heat that's in the air, and you feel like this cool air envelop you. You've got the sound and feeling of walking on wet moss, and there's this sense of being in this area that is depriving you of all these all the external stimuli that might be in your environment. But then on the other hand, you've got an overdose of the stimuli that are in the forest. So you've got the cool air from the trees, from the shade of the trees. You've got the sound of squelching moss under your feet. You've got this wetness, this humidity that's in the air. You've got, trees. You can smell bark. You can smell the soil. This perfume encapsulates all of that, which is pretty incredible, right? One of the listed notes in here is mushroom. If you read a note list and you think mushroom is not something that you would want to smell like, ignore that part, because I don't get like this umami mushroomness that I get in like a fettuccine alfredo, or that I get in like a mushroom sauce that I would put on a steak. I'm just getting the earthiness, and I think that mushroom for me translates into more of a soil accord. It's like this wet soil that you can sink your fingers in and feel. That's how the mushroom comes across. I was going through this period where I was sampling a bunch of perfumes and nothing was really blowing me away. I realized that the things that I really love to wear are ambers now, and I was thinking of decluttering anything that was not an amber because I just don't seem to be reaching for it anymore. But then I smelled this, and this is not an amber perfume. It's not sweet. It's not vanillic at all. It really is a whole bunch of green notes, but not green in a way that smells really like leaves or grass. I don't really smell a whole lot of galbanum in here, which usually gives you that feeling. It just is like this forest kind of scent. There's herbalness in here, there's earthy accords, it's cooling, it's completely transportive, which is what you want in a perfume. It's not transportive in the way that something like Vermeil is. Vermeil is very literal. It gives you something that you can almost touch, and Vermeil, for me, smells a lot like lipstick, so it's giving you that Lancome or L'Oreal lipstick kind of feel. And we can still smell lipsticks today. Those brands of lipsticks have not really changed their scent in the last little while. Chypre Mousse is transportive in a different way because it's giving you a sense of place and time and letting you experience that in a perfume. Some of my favorite scents are meditative kind of scents, and walking in a forest can be a meditative experience. Chypre Mousse just gives you that so well. And so I've kind of been obsessed with this perfume ever since I got the bottle. I mean, I loved it when I smelled it and I sampled it, but I stopped myself from loving it so much because I knew that a bottle was fairly expensive. That being said, I was Googling this recently, and Chypre Mousse is currently on FragranceNet, and I think it's retailing for a little bit less than $200, maybe $190. I can't remember if it's US dollars or Canadian, but still pretty affordable considering that a lot of the new designer perfumes that are coming out are in that price range, at least for a 100 ml bottle, and this is a 100 ml bottle. So you could go smell like vanilla and spend $200 to do that, or you could smell like a forest and spend $200 to smell like a forest. I know which one I would choose, and that's why I am a little enamored with this scent, because it's giving me that forest smell, and I wasn't expecting that. There's lots of perfumes that have a petrichor accord or something foresty in their marketing material, but this one really delivers. I have been hearing more about Orizia Legrand recently. This is another perfume revival brand. It says right on the bottle that it was established in 1720. I believe Chypre Mousse was from the early 1900s, and they've since reconstructed it. I can't comment about whether this is faithful to the original or not because I was not familiar with it until I was introduced to it earlier this year. I will do a little bit more research and probably circle back, but this is a beautiful perfume. I know the one that gets talked about a lot is an incense perfume, and it combines incense with lily. Personally, I don't like the smell of lilies in perfume, but this is so well done that maybe that is another perfume that I need to explore and smell a little bit more of. It's super earthy, very mossy. If that sounds like something that you would like the smell of, then you need to sample this. Someone did ask me if this was a scent that is like a dry petrichor scent. Like, is it rain hitting a dry area? Is it humid in that way? And if I had to give a season to Chypre Mousse, I would say that the season it encapsulates is late spring or late summer. It's not dry in the way that fall is dry, where you can feel the crunching of the leaves under your feet. And it's not cold in the way that spring is. It's like that time period between spring and summer where it's warm enough, but it's still really wet. And the forest that you're walking in, if you had to describe the forest that I feel like Chypre Mousse encapsulates is a forest in the springtime. Like, it's a wet forest, it's a deciduous tree forest, not really as piney. That is a season that I think is in Chypre Mousse. So if you're into like a humid type of perfume and you want to smell something that's very petrichor kind of a scent, then maybe Chypre Mousse is something that you need to get your nose on. I love it. I'm a little bit obsessed with it right now. And that is the other perfume that I wore a lot of in the month of September. The next two perfumes I've had in my collection for a little bit of time, so they're not new to me, and I can't remember if I have mentioned them before, but they are really light, easy to wear ambers. This line doesn't really get talked about very much. I think that's because it's not very potent, not very long lasting, and the trend in perfumery has gone to extremely potent, extremely long lasting perfumes, to the point where people think that if they're not getting hit in the face with a scent for 24 hours, basically means that the scents are very light. I don't think that they're very, very light, but I think they're on the lighter side. The two perfumes that I'm talking about are Prada Day for Night and Prada Marienbad. Marienbad I got first, and this is kind of a reconstruction of a vintage version of Shalimar. So it brings out the leathery aspects of Shalimar that I love, but it still has this like bergamot, vanilla kind of construction. I think easier to find than a vintage bottle of Shalimar, because when you buy vintage, you don't really know what you're getting. When you buy a bottle of Marienbad, you know exactly what you're getting. You are getting this, but it smells very vintagey, very Shalimar-esque. It's not very strong, even though this is an eau de parfum, but that makes it perfect to wear in these cooler, crisp weeks of fall, because you want something that's easing you into the amber territory, but not like a heavy, heavy, heavy amber that you would wear in the winter when you're all bundled up. So Marienbad does it so well. It's very complex and interesting, but not super potent. So you can kind of spray it a little bit more heavily and enjoy that. The other one, Day for Night, this is a more simplistic perfume, and to my nose, this is really a benzoin forward perfume. It's very powdery, it's combined with tonka, so it brings out the almondy, vanillic facets of tonka bean, and it has vanilla, and it's just so good. It's just a light enough amber that you can wear it every single day and never feel like it's overpowering. It's not very strong, again, just like Marienbad. And I think that none of the perfumes in this collection that I've tried are very strong. I had a sample of Cargo de Nuit. That one is a little bit, it opens with almond cherry. So I think there's like benzyl aldehyde in there that's giving us that cherry almond facet, but then it has a really beautiful ambrette dry down, so like the warm skin-like finish that's very clean and very put together, but again, not very strong, so safe for wearing to work or to the gym, or where you don't want this heavy enveloping perfume. Day for Night, same thing. And Marienbad, same thing. They're not heavy scents. They're not very potent, but they are complex and they're interesting. Day for Night is more simple, so it's easy to spray on heavily and just be wrapped in the warmth of this benzoin heavy perfume. Kind of reminds me of Bois d'Harmonie, actually, because Bois d'Harmonie is my benzoin reference, but this one is maybe in the same wheelhouse but a little bit more complex because of the tonka that's in here. The combination of the tonka and the benzoin is what makes Day for Night really good. So I've been wearing this a lot. This is the one that's on my perfume tray at all times right now because it's so easy to wear. You can kind of spritz it on and forget about it, and then later throughout the day, you'll get little whiffs of it as you move around in your clothes or in your hair or the back of your neck. That is when you're going to smell it. I am a little bit partial to scents that I can spray on heavily and still not offend anyone because I know that I'm in my own scent bubble and I'm going to be able to smell the perfumes the way that I want, and no one else is going to be offended or feel like they are being subjected to. There is one perfume sample that I have worn a lot of, not because I love it so much or that I want to get a bottle, but I did get a decant of this and people recommended it to me so highly. That perfume is Louve by Serge Lutens. Louve is a cherry almond perfume and people recommended that I try it because I love an almondy scent. The cherry in this is amped up more so than any other almond perfume that's in my collection. I don't really love this scent. I like it enough to keep wearing it. If you are familiar with a Lutens perfume, you know that they're not overly strong or really in your face. They are very subtle and elegantly formulated, and Louve does deliver on all those fronts. It is just heavier on the cherry side and not so much on the almond side. The dry down of Louve is like a clean, soapy musk, but it's still not very strong to the point where I actually forget that I'm wearing this. Every time I've worn it, I've kind of forgotten that I've had it on, and I can't even really smell the musk until I have my nose right to my wrist and I'm trying to see if it's still there. I like Louve. I just don't love it enough to hunt down a bottle. I just like wearing it as a fun, easy to wear cherry almond perfume. If you're wondering how this compares to other cherry forward perfumes, what comes to my mind is the Tom Ford cherry collection. I think that collection actually gives people what they want in terms of a complex, interesting cherry profile, like it's cherry and smoke or cherry and woods, whatever have you, depending on which one you pick. I think that collection does it really well. There's a lot of cherry perfumes that smell like cough medicine or candy, and Louve is none of those things, so it's a little bit more grown up and elegant. I like that about it. But in terms of, is it giving me something that's blowing me away that I couldn't just get in any other perfume? For me, it's not. If you like cherry almonds, then you might like Louve, but I was searching for a scent that was more almond forward, and along the way, I ended up finding those. I really like Dior Hypnotic Poison. That one works really well for me, and I also have really enjoyed wearing Prada Infusion d'Almond. That gives me like a clean, soapy almond. And Healy La Mondière always is a good one if I want to smell like the L'Occitane almond oil. What I've noticed is there's actually so much almond around in perfumery everywhere, in niche, in scents that are more accessible. So you really just have to look for it until you find it. Louve, I think, is a little bit more difficult to find because it's in a special kind of bottle. I think at this point you can really only get it if you go to a Lutens flagship store in Paris and you buy it there. For me, even if I do go to Paris and I'm in the Lutens store, I will not be buying a bottle. It's not going to give me anything that I'm not already getting from perfume that I already have. I actually feel the same way about something like Iris Silver Mist. I totally understand why people collect it and want it. It is a beautiful iris forward perfume. It has every single iris-y kind of material in it to give you a full-bodied, complex iris experience. But I don't want to smell like that every day. So if I'm not going to wear it, for me, I don't always feel like I need a bottle of it in my collection. I really like to just buy the things that I know I'm going to reach for and wear and are going to be easy to reach for and wear. That being said, I think if I was a signature scent kind of person, Louve could easily be a signature scent for me because it is so simple. It is so easy to wear. It's got just the right amount of sweetness with the cherry, and then it's got this beautiful almond that carries you through for the full wear of the fragrance. But then maybe my signature scent is maybe something that is just almondy, like something that smells like powdered almonds is something that's very me. And then I can also say that ambers are very me, and I can have so many ambers in my collection and rotate through them and never get bored of them, especially like a nice powdery amber like a Shalimar or any of these Prada perfumes. That could be my signature too. So I think what I've just said is I'm not a signature scent type of person anymore. If I can imagine myself wearing all these scents and not ever settling on one. But Louve could be a good signature scent for someone else that was looking for a signature scent. And that would make it worth the trip to Paris to purchase a bottle. Anyways, that is my rotation. Let me know what you're wearing. I hope that you have had a great September and you're having a great fall. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.